grab your booklets and go. And I do all three types, like the slope intercept, the slope point, and the general all at the same time, like all word problems side by side. So you get to see them all uh, and kind of like cover it in one day as opposed to just do one example here within each section. So if you came across word problems, now is the time, and I have like little stickies here that specifically point to each type, okay, which I'm gonna reveal in a bit, okay? So you kind of want to read the question and see what information is given, okay? So maybe at the top here, I'll just say, what info is given by the word problem? And here's the standard like form that you would fill in. Do they give you the slope? Do they give you the y-intercept? Do they give you a point? Point 1 perhaps, right? That would be x1, y1, right? Do they give you a second point? And they're not going to give you all of these. You're not going to be able to fill in this whole thing. Not at the beginning, okay? You need at least two, right? You need at least two things up here in general, like just across this unit. If you want to come up with an equation, you need two things, right? Any combo, right? They can give you these two. You can write out an equation out of that. They can give you the slope and 1 point, right? Any one of these two, right? That would allow you to write the equation. They could simply give you 2 points, and that would also be enough to come up with the equation because you can find a slope, right? If you have 2 points, you can find a slope. And so if you have 2 out of these 4 things, you can actually write an equation. Except for now, we're dealing specifically with word problems, okay? So let's scan through it and let's see. This kind of gives it away, I know, slope intercept, but I will still kind of pretend like I don't know, right, what type it is. To join a gym, Karen pays $99 as a startup fee. I'm going to highlight that. And then later I'm going to put a note to that. Plus monthly payments of $29. Okay. Write an equation for the cost C and for months N. So basically write an equation that represents the cost in terms of months. This right here, startup, right? That's the initial cost. Initial cost, i.e. y-intercept. Like if a question says the initial height or the initial length of the candle or anything at the start, that's your y-intercept specifically. At time 0, that's how much you would be paying. At time 0, this is how tall the candle would be, right? Like that, you should recognize that this is my y-intercept. Okay, and that is 0.99 in this case. Okay. Plus monthly payments of $29. What's that 29? Try to see if you can see a rate out of there. This is the rate of change. Rate of change, aka slope, right? Which we use the letter M for. How is that a slope, Mr. Dirksen? Well, it's actually saying $29 per month, right? Monthly payments of 29, you're saying $29 per month, right? So that is actually a rate. So which two pieces of information did they give you? They gave you the slope and they gave you the y-intercept. So you have to write this in particular. We will write it like this: y is equal to mx plus b And instead of the y here, we're going to make that the cost. We're going to use the letters that they're using. Cost is equal to the rate of change, which is $29, times n, because that's the number of months, right? Plus 99. Because remember, this is your slope, right? And this is your y-intercept, which is just, this is the 0.99, but the y-intercept itself, b is 99, okay? And because they gave you already what the letters represent, but let's say they didn't, C represents the cost in dollars, and N represents the number of months. If they don't tell you that, then you would do that. So this could be X, right? You could say X is cost, Y is cost, X is number of months. You could have done that as well. If you present your variables, then you're fine. Okay, but don't just write something without telling us what they represent, okay? So this is present variables if not stated. Or define, present, define. I think you get it. Okay. Present them to the audience, okay? Now we can ask you questions. We can give you X or Y and ask for the other. It says Karen worked out at a gym for 23 months. This is your N, right? Find the total cost, C. So C is going to be 29 times 23 plus 99. So the cost will be $766 total cost. Okay, statement there. Make sure you add units when it's a word problem. So nothing really changes how we write our equations. It's just that now there's a word problem involved. Karen has 505 saved. This is for us the cost that she's willing to incur, right? How long, right? That's your N. That's your unknown there. How long can she afford to use the gym? So we back to our original equation, right? We substitute, right? C is equal to 29 N plus 99. We substitute the 505 in like this, plus 99, and now it's just basic algebra, right? Bring the 99 over to this side. Changes its sign, you end up with 29N. 505 minus 100 would be 405. So it's 406, right? Because it's 99. 406 divided by 29N. Divide both sides by 29. Oops. Oh, that's a nice round number. 14 months. Note, round to whole number if data is discrete. That's always given, right? So in this case, you can't just take part of a gym for 0.7 of a month, right? Like you can't do that. So if it hadn't been a round number, we would have rounded it. for 6.4, for this type of examples, I would write down, if you want specifically questions that deal with 6.4, then this is what you want to write down somewhere in this section. I don't know if on the margin, or if you want to practice a couple. There's only 3 questions that I've added. So page 362, 8, 14, and 16. All right, let's do 6.6 here. I'm going to remove this for now. So now we're dealing with in general form, and there's a bit of a trick here. Okay, 2 numbers have the sum of 17. Write an equation to represent the situation and generate, this is in your textbook, you're going to have this, right? Generate some data points. You're basically find points on the line. That's basically what they're asking you there. Find some points that lie on this line that you're about to model. Okay. So define variables. Define variables. So we let x be now the first number, and we let y equal the second number. Therefore, if we want to represent this, right, that you just go x plus y, right, the sum of the first 2 numbers. It could be the difference, and it would be subtracting, right? We know it's equal to 17. That's not general form just yet. X plus y, the 17 comes over, is equal to 0. This is what we're after. This is general form. Do you know what this form is called? And I think in the review, you don't have to worry about it a whole lot, but this is standard form. Right? If you bring everything over to one side, that's the general form. If you have a constant on the other side, that's actually called standard form by the book, textbook, convention. So I wouldn't focus too much on it. I would just, you need to know how to get it to general form. Okay. Data points. And this is where you just let x equal to 1, for example, is the independent variable, right? So you let x be things, right? That means that you would go 1. You can use either equation, either one of them. 1 plus y is equal to 17. So then y would be 17 minus 1. So y would be 16. So basically when x is equal to 1, y is equal to 16. That's one data point. Sorry, just so here, right? You can let x equal to -3, because you could have negatives, right? You go -3 plus y is equal to 17. Y would be 17 plus 3. Y is equal to 20. So when x is equal, the first number is equal to -3, the second number would be 20. Right? First number, second number, first number, second number, and their sum is always going to be 17. So that's how you do general form. And that's how you would generate some data points. You can watch out, you can't always do negatives, okay? You'll see next example. Oh boy, time is. Can you just write down the homework that would be associated for 6.6? If you want word problems, I found two just off the bat, 384, 11, and 16. If you go through these notes, you will be fine. You don't have to worry about it too much. But general form is very easy to identify. It's two things will add up to something, or the difference between them will add up to something, or the difference will be something, right? So I don't think I'll only do one here. Let's do question 4. So let's leave this for now. If time allows, I'll do that tomorrow. Okay. John has a bunch of quarters and dimes. The total value of her coins is $10. Right? Write an equation to represent the situation. So you have two things and they add up to this, right? So you know this is a general situation. So we let x be the number of quarters, and we let y be the number of dimes. And so here's a little trickier, because if you have the number of quarters, right, and the number of dimes, and they're supposed to add up to $10, right? A quarter is worth 25 cents, right? So you have to write it, the coefficient is 0.25. And the coefficient for the dimes would be 0.1. Right? So you have to have those in there, right? Quarters and dimes. So if you counted the number of quarters and the number of dimes, right, you plug them in here, and then you would know what your value is, how much money you actually have. So there's a problem here. First of all, the decimals, and second of all, that the constant is here. We want to bring it over. So you can do either step, right? So if you go 0.25x plus 0.1y minus 10, bring it over like that, is equal to 0. And watch this. You haven't seen this yet, right? You take this whole equation. You're basically going to do this to both sides. Pick the biggest number of decimals that you see. There are 2 decimals here. So we're going to multiply everything by 100 to get rid of, remove decimals. Because remember, A has to be positive, and there can be no decimals or fractions. So times 100 gets rid of that, so it's 25x plus 10y minus 1,000 is equal to 0. This is what you're after. That would be the general form right there. So it's a little bit more challenging because you had the coefficients that aren't just, it's not just x plus y, there's actually something in front of it, right? And so basically now we're generating some data points. She has 8 quarters. How many dimes would she have? Right? This is x, right? So we will go 25 times 8 plus 10y minus 1,000 is equal to 0. So we're going to solve for y here. Right? So this is 200 plus 10y is equal to 1,000. I'm bringing that over and I'm multiplying. 10y is equal to 1,000 minus 200. y is equal to 800. Divide both sides by 10. Y is equal to 80. Is it possible for her to have 7 quarters? Justify your response. That's the time, 11:42. I'll leave this I'll put a star here and I'll continue with this tomorrow. So just those two, I gave you homework for both questions there, the sticky notes. So that's all I'm going to ask you to do. Try those word problems. Maybe try this one as well. This one here. Okay? And then we'll resume tomorrow with mystery lines. Okay, so we're going to start rewriting things back and forth from one form to the other and kind of getting ready for that last stretch, which is our test, right? This Friday. Okay? All right.